So good afternoon to all of you, and it is a pleasure and privilege to see all of you for this panel discussion on India Rising, Opportunity and Challenges. So to give you a brief about the panel discussion and everything, all of us are aware, a week into the formation of the new government in Delhi, 100-150 days agenda are under discussion. Next budget session is due in July 2nd or 3rd week. And here we are at MICA, perhaps the first institute in India or maybe in the world, organizing panel discussion on a topic which has been the narrative since last 5-6 months under the name Viksit Bharat. And not to forget, the UK election is in July, US election is due in November and December, continuing geopolitical tensions in and around Red Sea, causing disruptions in the business. Indian stock market fluctuated close to 10,000 points during last 10 days. And amidst all these things, we are organizing a panel discussion, or futuristic panel discussions. And let me thanks to the orientation chair, Professor Mini Mathur and Professor Panda, for proposing the topic to a person like me, who is thick and thin into the such national narratives and who bridges the narratives to conduct this panel discussion. Thank you, Mini Madam and Saurabh sir. Then, our gratitude is to the eminent panelists. I am sure Nilotama ji has sent you an email giving you the details profile of the each and every panelist, also a write-up about the topic. Gratitude to the eminent panelists, a combination of senior bureaucrat, a very senior scientist working in the DRDO, Ministry of Defence, the place from where the technology and research pioneers, and we have a strategy consultant who smells business and convert the narratives to working proposition to achieve the target for business and economy. Let me take this opportunity to introduce the panel to you. Names are there, so you can make out. Sri Maheshwar Sahu, retired from Indian Administrative Service, Chairman and Non-Executive Director of IRM Energy, based out of Ahmedabad. He has served the Government of India and Government of Gujarat in various capacities for more than 3 decades, precisely 34 years, before superannuity, as Additional Chief Secretary to Government of Gujarat, Industry and Mines Department. He had 33 years of active involvement in government departments, handling various profiles and PSU management. Further, he was the first chairperson of Gujarat Corporate Social Responsibility Authority. Thank you, sir. Then you have Dr. Mayank Dwivedi, a scientist, outstanding scientist, the Director of the Defence Materials and Stores Establishment, DMSRDE, Defence Research and Development Organization, DRDO, Ministry of Defence. In his previous appointments, he was Director of Industry Interface and Technology Management, point to be noted. He was, in his previous appointment, he was Director of the Directorate of Industry Interface and Technology Management for more than 5 years, and before that, he was Director of the Defence Technology Commission Secretariat for 2 years. Thank you for adding, sir. And then we have Mr. Abhinav Johri. He heads the Cloud and Digital Engineering practice and has served a diverse set of clients at UI, both with the global and regional presence, including India, Europe, the UAE, South Asia, and the US. His clientele includes technology companies, products and services, digital natives, hyperscalers, global capability centers. I'm sure most of you are about the importance of GCC nowadays, which is known as GCC, private equity, e-commerce companies, platform business, and mid-market organizations. Thank you, Joey sir, for Now, as many of you are aware, how we are thinking to conduct the panel is like this. Each speaker, I will request them to speak for about 7 to 8 minutes, and then I will try to put up some questions if points are covered and something I want to put some questions. Then after that, it will be open for you for around 20-25 minutes of Q&A session. And so now to start the session, I request Sahu sir. Sir, please, in your experience, give us some views about the policy landscapes. Needless to mention, sir, as you know, and we are talking in our interaction, most of the policymakers and coordinators in India now are either your contemporary, or they are your juniors, or they might have your seniors across the departments. And how you look at, from your vast experience, the policy landscape given the new government coming up. So, all yours, sir. Either you can speak from there or you can speak from here, sir. Your choice.
Thank you, Professor Panda, for your introduction. Dr. Dwivedi and Mr. Johri and distinguished faculty of MICA and the young students of MICA who have come with a lot of hope and aspiration that this institute will shape their future and they will land up in good system, ecosystem. Friends, I think the opportunities is huge, and it is how you are meant to capture those opportunities. I always enjoy interacting with young people, not for giving sermons, but for learning from them, because there is always a possibility in any interaction. You should try to learn something. I know Professor Panda mentioned I had 34 years of service in the government. Yes, but I had some unfilled desire when I left my service. That you are advising so many industries, but can you try your hand sometime to set up an industry? And you are giving ideas to people, you do not know whether those ideas are practical or not. Can you promote some startups? Then you can verify the proof of concept and see that they are grounded appropriately in the field. Friends, I am happy with the blessings of God and all that. I was actively involved, that's what Professor Panda mentioned, the chairman of a gas company, which gas, I didn't know what is gas, because I had been mostly in the industry, not in energy side. But I must tell you, whichever field you go, if you think and you give your commitment and efforts to that, and probably you can do well. And the company in 6 years' time, we went into the public, and from 10 rupees share, people might hear, most of the people from Gujarat will be knowing better, and that the share market, a 10 rupees share, it was listed at 500 rupees. And from zero almost, the market cap became 2,500 crores. So that is on one side. That means one of my thinking was, I thought, okay, let it be practical on the field. We promoted 2-3 startups. And friends, I think the startup longevity ratio, earlier it used to be 1:10, but it had increased in a general scenario to 1:4, 5 like that. But in our case, the percentage was very good. So we started about 4 startups, and 3 of them are doing well. And one of them has got 2 national awards also as best startup. Anyway, so this is a prelude to what we are discussing in next 4 or 5 minutes, because he has given me 7 minutes. I have already consumed 2 minutes. So, friends, I think when you analyze a problem or an issue or a policy, the most important thing for you is that you should find out what is the existing ecosystem. If you don't understand the existing ecosystem, you will fail. Whatever the brilliant thinking you have, you will not succeed. The present day ecosystem, what Professor Panda mentioned, recent elections, the election in the UK and US looming just nearby, the eco-fragile system of sensitivity system of the world is on a move. Red Sea problem, you see, many things. But even with those problems intact, you see what is happening in India. And if you look at the inflation figures, and the data for the month ending May have been out yesterday. And the inflation is the lowest in the last 12 months. So that is a very good positive sign. Another most important parameter one looks at for policy framework, what is your IIP, industrial production figures? And it is a healthy 5%. It's not bad. It's not bad. Because in India also the base has become a little bigger. Friends, you will see the projections of the GDP by the World Bank and reputed agencies recently has been upgraded also for the country. And that stands at 6.2%. A country like India and having a forecast of 6.2%, and the reading is that it will not go down below a certain percentage in the next 4 or 5 years. When China is struggling at around 4%, 3% like that, so that means you have a very healthy atmosphere ecosystem for development. The most important thing that when this ecosystem is helping us, then the main thing comes from your political direction and drive. In the last election, it may be a coalition. Nothing, it's a part of politics, you know. But you'll find that Mr. Modi has come out well, and that means this country's direction for economic sustainability and growth will be intact for at least the next 5 years. So these are all very healthy signs for driving on a proper policy framework which will help the country and the young people like you to grow well and do well. Rightfully, Professor Panda has enumerated many things, and which are the levers for this growth and which can make a policy framework very good. You know, whatever policy you think in your mind, but if the implementing mechanism is not well greased and it is not proper, it will not work. Somewhere it will fail. But rightfully the levers are good now. What he had mentioned on the technology side, on the artificial intelligence, hydroponics, quantum computing, 6G and other technology advances. These are the things which will drive the major policy interventions of this government. Because nothing can be, nobody can in the world beat Indian youth from this aspect of it, that we use the technology much better. And you must have seen, you must be reading every day, most of these companies are relocating their CEOs to India. Major positions. They think that it will be cost effective and better supporting network will get it from the Indian subcontinent. So therefore this thing and the skilling and other aspects, what has been mentioned by Professor Panda is very relevant. But two things are important which has been missing in this. I will just point out that. And it must be there, but not directly, but indirectly. One aspect is that when you talk skilling, people understand that this skilling is low-end skilling. You train somebody on a CNC operating CNC machine, you train somebody on this arc welding, etc., etc. This is low-end training. That means at level which is not very far effective, but from employment point of view it is good. But from value addition point of view, it does not contribute so much of value to the entire system, but they should be done. But what is more important is the skilling in the high-end side. And probably in the policy framework, the government is seized of this issue, and they are working out some mechanism in which this high-end training will be a major driver, it will be a catalyst for the growth of the entire ecosystem. Another thing which I must say, this is controversial. People argue on this. Why we are talking on this topic? The gender gap. If you look at the World Economic Forum's gender gap analysis of this year, which has been published only day before yesterday, where do we stand? We stand at the position of 129. And who are above us from the South Asia? Even Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka are above us. This is not a good situation to drive an effective policy framework into the grassroots level when these things are not taken care of. And more striking feature, friends, is that what are the important things? What has contributed to this low ranking of India? And if you look at, there are two things which is contributing aggressively in that. One is the education, and which can be tackled. It is not a difficult aspect of it. And another thing is political role of the women in the politics. How they are represented, and how they are contributing, and how they can contribute better. And this also can be taken, and I think the present government is taking care of it. So friends, I think with this framework, these drivers, these levers, if it is taken care of, Mr. Modi's vision, our Prime Minister's vision of taking this country to a 5 trillion economy in a shortest possible time will be possible. And all of you have entered into this area of creation of value addition and job market well in time, and you will have a good future in the coming years to come, and MICA will shape you well, and you will come out successful and have satisfaction in your life. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I purposely did not try to use these words like $5 trillion economy and things like largely because, many of us will say whether it is a narrative or it is going to happen in next 2-3 years or not, but it is coming from your side. Yes, we can think of hopeful about that. Yes, a $5 trillion economy or $7 trillion economy in next 3 to 4 years is quite achievable. And if that happens, I think none other than the students community are going to be benefited out of it. And also you talked about something to do with gender gap index, and we'll talk about in our interaction. The government talks about a lot about social inclusion. So that social inclusion is very much in the agenda, as you pointed out. Now we'll go to Dwivedi sir. Dwivedi sir, and the request to you to take us through the technology landscape. At MICA, we have started talking about synthetic biology, robotics, hydroponics, then AI for social development and inclusion, 6G, and I was reading somewhere, now they are talking about deep tech. The narrative is, and the democracy, deep tech and development. So that's the narrative that is going on, and this narrative has become all the more important. After this Bill Gates and Prime Minister's meeting, and recently the impending meeting that is likely to happen with Elon Musk. So if you can take us through, and another thing that this government is talking about largely, general purpose technologies, GPT. Like they are talking about a body weight technology and all these things are fine. Now tell whether this technology can be useful for the healthcare, for the farmers, for the education, all these things. So with your vast experience in technology, and with DRDO. If you can take us through that.
Shri Maheshwar, Shri Abhinav Johari, Professor Rasananda, Panda, Professor Nima, Professor Saurabh, Dr. Nini Banerjee, my friend, respected faculty members. I always say respected faculty members because whatever I am today, because of the faculty, whatever you taught me, that's why I could to this level. Dear students, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. First of all, I am thankful to MICA. They have given me this opportunity to interact with the students. And I always like to be with the students because previous I was the professor, district professor at IT Delhi. Still I am the examiner there. At Delhi College Engineering, where the alma mater and also examiner there. So it is always very nice and very much delightful feeling that I am interacting with the students. Because I believe, as a scientist, that if out of so many students sitting here, if I can motivate with my thoughts even one or two students, I have done my job, and the country will go on the path of the prosperity and everything. The point is that India Rising is a very good topic has been selected, and that opportunities and challenges. No doubt India is rising. The GDP growth last year was 8.2 and this time I think it's projected 7.2. Already $3.9 trillion economy we are, and I think in a couple of years or years time we are going to cross $4 trillion and be with our fourth largest economy, surpassing Japan. Only Germany will be left, again 1 more trillion, and I think for 5 years we will be crossing that. But very important thing is there, when you see all the developed nations across the world, that they have got something solid in them. Means their technology edge is very important. Let me tell you, if we want to sustain our growth, we have to be technologically very much agile, and we have to go for the innovation. See, today your GDP may increase because many foreign companies are coming and working with us, and that's how your GDP is increasing, both investment, etc. So many factors are there, as you know, management students. But finally what happens, that whatever you are manufacturing by yourself and what are the innovative things you are coming out with is very important. Like I give you a very good example of America. When we try to copy America, that what America is doing. Each and everything America is importing, either from China, something from Japan, Vietnam, clothes, etc., Bangladesh. But they have got the complete capabilities in house. If any country stops the supply of any of the items, they can manufacture by themselves at a very good quality. That is the technology edge, and that is the innovative, their mindset they have got. That's why America is always leading. Similarly, Germany is leading because they are one of the best machine designers. Where what happens, as a managers, when you come out, you pass out as managers and students from here, in India what is happening, we are still doing very good in various sectors. Like you talk about automobile manufacturing, you talk about pharmaceuticals, IT, in textile also, and recently I understood because I am a defense officer. Our growth rate from last financial year to last financial year is 32% in defense export. This year, I think means last financial year, we have exported 21,000 crores of defense export from India. BrahMos missile, where I worked almost 12 years, 11 years. I was assistant manager of the airframe in BrahMos. Then the BrahMos is being sold to now Vietnam and many other countries. So it's a good business. But the point is what? When we are exporting items, for example, BrahMos is one item where the complete system we are exporting. Now, most of the time we are only working as ancillaries or supplying the sub-product, subsystem and components to various industries like Boeing. Boeing is one of the big buyer, Safran, Thales, IWI, Israel, and buy system. All those people that they are getting everything because their manpower is cheaper, and that's how we are doing. So I will not dwell much upon that because I know the time limit is there. I already 3 minutes I have consumed. That we have to think, we have to focus the innovation and the technology part in such a way so that we are giving the complete solution for the system. And one very good thing Professor Rasananda told me, because I was not prepared for that thing, because technology in itself is a very, very big domain, that the technology which are suiting India, what he means to say, what I understood, that appropriate technology. It is not essential whatever technology is being used in America is good for you. I have seen during my 10 trials in Pokhran at 55 degrees Celsius, basically when any Jawan wants to make the omelette, on the one surface of a tank we clean it, we crack the egg and we get the omelette immediately there. That is a temperature. But the point is that many of the rubber gaskets, many of the air filters, etc., they do not behave that good whatever the conditions are there. And if you really want to see the mixture of the traditional technologies or traditional system to the modern technology, a country to be looked at is Japan. They have still not lost the touch from the basic traditional things. And still they are the most modern country in the world. So the point is, this appropriate technology is suiting your requirement. I will give one very simple example that you will understand immediately. Initially, when the Bridgestone tire or Michelin tire, they started coming to India from America or some other European country, they were so soft. They were getting punctured so fast because they were made for the colder climate. Then they had to change the formulation of the rubber and then they made it harder. That's how they were working so well in India now. Today it's a success story. Earlier वो कहते थे, साहब ये काम नहीं करता यहाँ पे. This tire will not work for India. That was the slang. There one more thing I will have to tell you. Two things I will tell you because quickly I want to complete. Then you can ask many questions. Then I can reply. AI is going to be very important. Let me tell you, there is not a single field in your life, not a single field, mind it, right from the kitchen, house, clothes, textile, whatever you talk about to space centers, etc., where AI is not going to play the role. AI will lead all of us to have a very higher skills. And finally, it is going to be completely autonomous systems in future. Probably the wars in future will not be fought with a human being, only with the robots. So the point is, AI is going to be part of our life, and we have to adhere to AI very well. But AI, that other side is also there. As per the world estimates, in next 2 to 3 years, 30 crore jobs will be lost. And next 15 years, 50% jobs will be lost. Because the AI will be doing the thing so fast and in such a better way, with a time dependence manner, it will do the job, and multiple function it will do. That's how it is going to be a big challenge. So the point is, we have to skill ourselves so well so that in that AI environment, we are able to survive. One more thing there, what South has told very nicely, the ecosystem. Because I am a defense scientist and talk any missile system that DRDO has made. Missile system talk, tanks will talk, sonars will talk, radars will talk. We do it, we design it, develop it, and finally through the industry we do it. I will give you one example which you will relate very well. That when last year, when 15th August, Prime Minister Modi was speaking on 15th August, then he told, 75 साल बाद ये आवाज सुनी. After 75 years, we fired Indian gun. Earlier we used to fire the 21, वो तो कोई सलामी जो कहते हैं, that salute, that was from the English gun. And that gun was made by DRDO along with Tata's and Bharat Forge. But it is not that DRDO designed and made it and Tata and Bharat Forge did it. Here the ecosystem comes. There are 464 industries working for the entire gun manufacturing. The two lead integrators, the Tata and Bharat Forge, where we are the designers, DRDO, ARD, Pune. And finally, so many industries are involved, and they are somebody supplying muzzle paint, somebody firing paint, somebody supplying the auto loader, somebody supplying the undercarriage, upper carriage, like that, trunnion, like that the entire gun is made, and that's how that inclusive growth, what Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas is told by our Honorable Prime Minister, is truly there. Ecosystem is very important. Let me tell you, Where the ecosystem is not there, the growth will not be there. If you go to Bhavnagar, you go to Rajkot, Surat, Ahmedabad, Baroda, because the industrial ecosystem is there. The same ecosystem may not be there in Mehsana. Then many big industries may not be there. So the ecosystem is very much essential for the growth. Then, lastly, 1 or 2 points I will tell you, then we will discuss later on. The documentation is very important. Whenever you people as a manager go to big industries, you do anything, and remember, whatever work you do, the complete documentation should be there. Once the documentation is there, then you are filing the IPR, the intellectual property rights, they become very easy. Without IPR, you will not have place in the world of business. In business, without IPR, nobody will recognize you and your technologies, where on that basis you will be doing some industry or business, will be taken away by somebody else. So that's how the IPR is very important. And the last thing I will tell you, which is, because it is a link with the documentation, it is the quality control. The QC part. The Indian product, they are sometimes in the world market, now we have improved a lot, but the quality part was missing. Like a Chinese item, they manufacture something different from India and Asia, they make something different for the Europe and America. So this quality control becomes another thing. So basically, I will say that that country is growing in a very right way. The rising India, whatever the topic is given, is very apt topic. But I think all these things, as when you become young entrepreneurs, then we have to keep in mind that these are the minor small things where if we keep them in mind, then I think the growth path will be much easier. There are many other things we can discuss like technology, life cycle, etc. and how. And let me tell you, this is everything is linked with the business. Nothing is, see, you cannot say technology in isolation. Wherever the company, wherever we will be joining, if we may join EY or S&P or any company also, finally they will be doing some consultancy, something for the big industry or company. Finally, that industry or company will be based on some technology. So that's how all these things is a very close circle. And that close circle, how do we fit in to synergize the thing, to do the value addition? It is our job. So thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your nice exposition. I mean, I am sure all of us will get an idea that, when you give that 21 gun salute and the gun is having 460 components or some of that components all are made in India. So therefore, whether it is a nationalistic paradigm or whether it is a, business paradigm, I look it from a business paradigm. I am doing the business in India and you have around 460 components, all are manufactured in India and you got a 21 gun salute. Plus, another thing that Sarah said, all of you will find one of my colleagues, I will not tell the name of the colleague, one of my colleagues will, when you come and teach, he will tell you, do the document the documents. Do the documents and documents the done. Correct? जो किए हैं उसको document करिए, जो कर रहे हैं उसको भी document करिए. Because that's the important of, keeping something for the posterity. So, as he rightly said it, that, something is done, patented to be there, you are not there, doesn't matter, people leave the organization. Or you are going on. But next person who is coming and in your place, he should know that what you have done. So, sir, thank you very much. That's what people like us or let's say young audience, they think everything is done, everything is there, whatever the document, in the phone and everything, they will document. But that's very important. Now, Jori sir, to you. As you know, at the end, everything boils down to dhanda. Converting the narratives, views, whatever we talk about, etc., into business for development through companies, irrespective of their size. Whether public, private, large, medium, small, listed, non-listed companies, etc. And who better than a UI? And when you say you understand your EY, and any of them will definitely happy, and definitely engineers will be happy. Okay, here is a person who is coming from a company and with a lot of hopes. So, sir, if you can take us through how these narratives are going to be converted to Dhanda.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir, for the brief. How's everyone feeling? Now you guys need water, boss. So get your water bottles. I see eyes dripping. So, just a brief intro on the top of the intro I was given. I've been with EY for 19 years. It's a very important, it's an important thing because I had a pleasure of working on the other side of the table with with gentlemen like Sahu and Mr. Trivedi. I've served them as my clients. When you serve somebody as your client, you are almost up because somebody is paying you to get something delivered to them. The story or the topic they're talking, I have a very different take, and perhaps the take is different because I mean business, and that's the reason I said, how do you feel? So, narrative aside and the numbers beside, if you need to test, are we really growing? You need to ask people, how are you feeling? Are you getting impacted? That's how I assess. I ask my client, you give me $1 million, but how are you feeling about your service? Are you happy? Am I giving you what you really need besides lots of PPTs and lots of exhibitions that nobody really frankly needs? Well, in order to draw a picture of our country and the growth story we have, perhaps we have to go a little bit down and peel it up to know where we are. And my advice, sincerely, I don't advise generally to the people outside my remit of my business, but my sincere advice to all of you to start off is you have to decide at this moment whether you are for profit or you are for non-profit. Decide first. Decide your category. Decide which school you belong to, and then you preach. Because what you preach has to be rooted into your value system and what drives you every day. It's not easy. It's not easy. You get beaten down every day by your competition, by your buyers, by your colleagues. It's very important to be rooted. So decide whether you are for profit or non-profit, and then decide the merit. So let that be the premise, and then let's talk about how are we doing with it. Let's go a couple of years back, just to see where we were and where we are today. What kind of economy are we? Anybody? Well, that's theoretical. Primarily, we were an agricultural economy, and now we are a services economy. What does service means? You serve. That's a verb, right? So that's a word. You serve. When you serve, you don't think, because your thinking is post facto after somebody has thought, designed, and given to you. That's who we were, largely. Our golden story in the field of private sector, besides the public sector, is much spoken and much discussed without really doing a reflection that did we really make it so high that we must celebrate about it? Actually, we didn't. We didn't. And where we should perhaps celebrate more is the sectors where perhaps Mr. Dwivedi and Mr. Sahu come from, which is less talked about. And that's where people didn't really serve. That's where people built. That's how they produced from the defense or otherwise came out. Now, if that's true, then what does it mean? It means, what did we produce so far? It's a very important thing I'm going to say, and I come to technology in a while. What did we produce so far? We produced talents who went out or who went somewhere to serve someone. That's how we grew the economy, which really pushed India to what it is today. It's not the public sector, frankly. It's a private sector story which really pushed it. Just 20 years back, we were celebrating some of the IT companies which were founded in our country. Great kudos. Opening up a company, starting and surviving is not easy. It's damn difficult. It's damn difficult. You lose your last nucleus of your blood cell and making it run. It's not easy. But then, if you think about what were we doing, we continued to work upon perhaps the lowest priority of the mandate and the work for any of the multinational company abroad which was given to India. That's what we took pride in. I don't know who would remember, but perhaps you are much younger than what I, but I remember those days when people used to come to my house and used to tell to my mom, "Hamara beta US mein hai." Oh, he's in Infosys, he's in US. What is he doing? Solving tickets. That's what we took pride in. Where I'm going with this is that when I meet people for my business and in general, my intention is very simple. What I want to know from you is are you going to serve or are you going to take lead? And what we dramatically lack in our country are the leaders. And I'll give an example to you. Think for a moment the business leaders we have had in our country. Think for a moment, how many of them? Handful, perhaps fingerful. Maybe the palms of the fingers, not beneath them. Why is that? Have you ever thought why is that? And the reason I can say about this with a lot of confidence because I run a business which is not an employment. I'm a partner, I run my own business, I have my own P&L, I employ people. I do everything what a business guy will do. Therefore, I'm very closer to what it takes to do it. The reason is very simple. We haven't been on the side of innovation. We haven't used resources to the best of the effective ways which perhaps could have helped the country. Let's change the gears and come to the latest hype in the world, which is AI. Do you know when was the first PhD in AI was done in the world? Anybody in the room? Here. Here's my question. Heard about Vishal Sikka? Who was he? When did he do his PhD in AI? 80s. When did the world came to know about cloud? 1952. And what are we talking these days? Cloud and AI? What does it mean? There's a bit of a narrative, there's a bit of a reality, but the reality which is also truth, which you can't beat, is production of technology has always been ahead of the curve of adoption. Yeah? Production of technology has always been ahead of production, ahead of curve of adoption. That is the reason most of the times when you talk about the permissibility and feasibility of a technology per se, at scale, and I say scale I'm referring to anything which pertains to a nation, is a challenge. Yeah, is a challenge. I'll give a quick example to bring this to life. You know, when we implemented Aadhaar, I used to be the project manager of that project. We used to work with Government of India, with all the known names, Mr. Nilankani and everybody else. Did you know what was our biggest challenge? Our biggest challenge was, there was not a single person who could have thoroughly architected what does a single identity in a complex country like India mean. But we wanted to compare ourselves with US, because they do have social security number. They do have a structure around it. Yeah? The reason they have structure around it because country was structured. They operate in a very structured operating model. As a country, we don't. What we are sitting here represents only 2% of the employed youth in the country. It is not the representation of the wider employed youth. It's almost like this. Let's say you're doing an entry market strategy, and if I were to ask you, what is the sports market in Ahmedabad looks like? What will you do? You will go to the market, you will count the shops, and you will come back. But you wouldn't count the seller who is sitting on the footpath and selling perhaps homemade bats. Perhaps he's selling plastic bats. What about those guys? Are they not the part of your target addressable market or an addressable market? They are. So when we think about the country and when we think about technology, what we like to see is there's a state of nation, there's a state of enterprise. That's how we define the economy. There's a state of nation, state of enterprise. State of nation is a narrative. There are a lot of stuff being done. State of enterprise is the hardcore money. That's where P&L works. Yeah, I'll give you quick data points and few of the tidbits just before you get the flavor and we get the discussion going. In the state of nation, what have we seen in past 10 years or past 15 years per se, I would say? We have seen three sectors making huge strides, and I think you and I feel that. One is public services, yeah, and don't judge the public services the way you and I consume. Go and ask in a village. Go ask in a panchayat, you will get to know what it means. They are public services. Second is the healthcare. And when I say healthcare, I do not necessarily represent hospitals, because healthcare is a broader topic. Hospitals is only a channel to serve the healthcare. It is not the healthcare, right? And third is the telecom. So I was speaking about, yeah. We are talking about 6G. We are yet to get to 5G fully. But then there are geographies, there are economies in the world who haven't gotten to 4G even. And by the way, UK is one of them. Yeah. Now let's talk about something very extreme. Very extreme. Let's talk about education. Do you know, or have you heard, there's an artificial intelligence university being set up in China? Many of us may not know. But then, in most of the other geographies in the world, they haven't even thought about it because they continue to tweak the courses of the regular academia, believing that it will solve the purpose of future. Now that's where the strategy for a nation comes into picture. That's where the think tank, or in our country we have got Niti Aayog comes into picture. Yeah. So the state of nation what we have gotten today is very promising. Perhaps there couldn't have been a better time to be in India than what it is today. I get so many requests from the students studying abroad, and I don't mean universities which have 100 plus ranks. I'm talking top 5. I'm talking Cornell, I'm talking LSE, I'm talking UCLA. Believe me, no jobs. Everybody wants to be here. But at the same time, we also need to reflect upon that first point, what kind of economy are we continue to serve as economy, or are we going to be innovation economy? Before I just shift to state of enterprises, conclusive point in state of nation, the way we see today is that there's an enthusiasm around technology, there's an appreciation around technology, there's a I would say another genuine desire, aspiration to be a technologist. But then, no strategy, no resources, perhaps not even the right talent to do any of those three things. And we are East, guys. We are not West. We do things first and think later. We execute first and we strategize later. West, we strategize first and do it later. There are a few good things to be learned, and we should do it. There's no shame in it. In our world, in my world, it's a global thing. I can't take sides saying India is so or the other country is so. It's a global business. I do get exposure, I do get appreciation of how people approach, and one of the things which beats us all the time is we are very good at execution, but we don't think. And that is the reason GCC, we spoke about, GCC continues to be growing in our country, which is 3,000 plus at this current moment, is not because we are super good guys. Don't be under impression, we are not. Just that we are more affordable. But then if you were to be from a GCC, which is a cost center, to a revenue center, we all, including my own self, we need to be really very serious. And when EY, and at EY particularly, we go and talk in different colleges and we look at what are we recruiting. In fact, we are changing very rapidly, saying, what is the talent we are recruiting? Is it the campus, or is it the work stream, or is it the educational pedigree, or is it the intent? And guess what? What wins first? Intent. That's right. Last points on state of enterprises. State of enterprises have been phenomenally good. In the last 3 years, we have seen the highest amount of IPOs in our country. We have seen highest amount of deals and private equity investments and M&As being done. Why is that? Why is that? There is a general enthusiasm about the economic whole of the country. Your WPI is very high, which simply means that inflation is under control, what just was said. What does it tell an investor? It tells the investor, I've got a place where the scale is very high. Affordability is supremely high because as a country we work on unit economics. You do not get sachets of heads and shoulder anywhere else in the West but in Southeast Asia. Yeah? Because that's how you make money, that's how volume works. And we are also a nation wherein, you know that, regular points, average age is very low, people are going to be dying very late, so you can make tons of money till the time they are 70s or 80s or whatever. Besides that, they also know that given the in general FDA, which is, I don't know how much you follow what I'm saying, but I believe you do. Let me take a guess at that. In general, inflation rates in the global markets have a suppressive effect on the Indian economy, which means when something goes down there, this part comes up, because we are the highest consuming population on this earth. So, if you pick up mid-market organization, what does mid-market organization mean? Any organization whose revenue is less than 1,000 crore. Just less than 1,000 crores, nothing, 1,000 crore. You will see their P&Ls growing. You will see their profit loss statements growing, their balance sheets growing. What does it mean? It means that the companies who perhaps never existed for you and I are the companies who are making strides now. I won't take few names, but then it's very visible. There are few names, big names in West Bengal, in North India, who have become very prominent in the past 3 years. Why is that? They got the right market. So where the policy should have worked has worked. That's the right indicator for me. Yeah. If I pick up any stock market from past 3 years, It's the right indicator for me. That makes me believe that India is doing fast. The weakest point, which I should conclude with, are the people, which is you and I and all of us. I don't believe, and many of our surveys continue to tell us, that the employable generation in our country is at par with what this country really needs in the next 10 years. And that's a blatant truth. And it's not up to them. It's onto the entire production system wherein the student goes in at the one end and comes out, perhaps with 10 pages of Google being read out and crammed up, but no understanding of what it really means and how does it translate to real business. That's the first challenge. The second challenge continues to be is we haven't been able to identify deployable use cases in technology, whether it is 5G, 6G is pretty far, we're not even thinking about it right now, or AI, Gen AI. We haven't been able to identify the use cases which has a scaled impact. What does scaled impact mean? The scaled impact means when a educated young guy in Delhi plus perhaps a primary student in Bihar gets equal benefit. Therefore, you have to think sectors which is a level playing field like healthcare, public services, G2C, government to citizen services, citizen to government services, education, manufacturing, infrastructure, retail. These are masses. What you and I do, where you would go and join what I do, is not masses. We are very privileged, by the way. We are extremely to the power infinity privileged to be here and to do what we are doing. But that's not representation of the India. That's not where we are, truly speaking. So we haven't been able to identify the use cases which can be deployed at scale, which really has the power to change A, the narrative, and B, the scale at which we operate in the world. When I meet my clients, Professor Panda, outside India, one thing which I get acknowledged, and I've seen it by myself, there's a different identity of anybody traveling from India, for sure. There's no doubt about it. But the problem is, when you go to US and UK, there's an Indian who is working on the road, and there's an Indian who's the CEO of Microsoft. How do you resolve the conflict? And then there are 300 Indians who are just waiting to cross the wall at US border. It's all contradictory, guys. It creates a hell lot of confusion between the West that how should they really look at it? What should we really consider ourselves as? So therefore we just come down to a very large consumable market wherein everybody wants to come and make money. And this has to stop. If this has to stop, then only, or will then only be, India as a nation will really rise. And many of the privatization, in fact, when we work with ministries, I had a pleasure of working with Finance Ministry during COVID. That's what we keep discussing, saying providing loan to MSME to recover is not the right strategy. You need to make them so enabled that they continue to even sustain post-COVID as well. So it's a good reflection upon what government is doing, what private sector is doing, how in fact what responsibility we all carry. And I think my only message continues to be whenever I meet my own people, my own clients and gatherings like that it is on to the generation of students who haven't yet tasted the corporates corruption. Howsoever honest you are, but you will look for yourself and for your family, that much is a minimal corruption everybody agrees with, acceptable. But before you hit there, I think there has to be a very strong reflection of our readiness. And as I said in the beginning, you must decide whether you are for profit or for your non-profit. If you are for non-profit, fine, then don't quit. But if you have a profit, then don't ask for employment as well. You need to go and create employment. And that is the reason perhaps the startups, by the way, I must give you a very staggering number. Do you know how many AI startups have we got in India? So much about AI. How many startups are there in India? Take a guess.
More than 300. More than 5,000.
No, at least 5,000 to 1,000. So we are sub 10,000, while the actual number we aspire to be around 60,000 plus. If you really have to make a dent on a global level. And as we go ahead in the discussion more, I'll share a couple of more real data points where you can place where we are in terms of technology adoption, particularly AI and Gen AI. So with that, I look forward for more talks. But thanks for listening.
Dear students, you must have heard the length and breadth that he covered. And those of you who are a little bit absent-minded, imagine if he comes in August for your summer internship, then he can easily find it out. And if you want to get into E&Y, look at the, in a 12 to 13 minutes kind of things. He talked about international relations, he talked about foreign policy, he talked about trade policy, he talked about domestic economy, he talked about startup, he talked about inflation, everything. Do you have that? If not, think about it. Already people have talked about employability and everything, so think through. That's the purpose of this kind of panel discussion, to tell you in the month of June, when Banerjee sir will think about your summer placement in the mid-August and September, 1.5 to 2 months your education, whether you are that tuned or not. Otherwise, you will move like a Dukhi Atma. Correct? So therefore, see how he has covered what Dwivedi sir has talked about the macro technology, what South sir has talked about policy kind of things. But at the end, you know whether you are profit or not for profit. You know whether you want a job or you don't want a job. And for getting a job, whether you want a summer internship or not. Therefore, I am sure your attention must have been there, and whatever is said, in the next 1 year or let's say 6-7 months, 2 terms, every subject will cover. And in the next 3-4 days, you will get your schedule. You look at your schedule, you will get almost all the courses and all the subjects that he talked about. Therefore, he is the person, he last to tell you, look, at the end of the day, this matters. Thank you, sir, for giving that view. Now, going to the next part. Now, sir, 5-7 minutes among yourself. If all three of you have any question or any point or any observation you have to make for each speaker, all yours. So, suppose how, sir, you want to respond to Johri sir, or Johri sir, you want to tell some points to Sao sir?
Sir, I'll go towards the end, whatever you
All yours, sir. Here there is nothing similar, and in education institute, said everybody is at part. So, yeah. Then we go for a 20 minutes of question answer.
One very important point was told during the talks, that policy and their implementation. And very rightly it was told that policies are there in place. To talk about the Indian Constitution, everything is fixed up.
Yeah.
Now I would hear. Okay. So when we talk about the policies, everything is in place in India. Basically, we see the main policy of India is nothing but our constitution. Everything is mentioned there. But how do you implement effectively the procedures? To implement them effectively so that the benefit goes to all the people. And the very critical policies are being made by various institutions, various industries. Like as I tell you, I told you that I was director industries for 5.5 years. There, that time, I used to interact with more than 14,000 industries who are working in the defense area. And you name any top industry in India, all the industries were very well known to me. They used to visit my office, I used to visit their places. But at the same time, I used to find the way L&T is doing in certain area, same engineering area, Mahindra and Mahindra is not able to do. And whatever Mahindra and Mahindra is doing in certain areas, L&T was not able to do. All they have got very good engineers, all they have got very good policies, all very good managers. But again, how to strategize the thing and how to implement that. I tell you, the implementation part is many times more important than whatever policies we have made. This I wanted to tell you because this is the thing which lacks. Everything exists, but we are not able to implement. This is only one small thing. And the last thing I will also tell you, I will give you some dirty example because many times when you talk about only good things and you will not remember that. Whatever exists in the world, it is all because of business model. If business model is lacking, let me tell you, neither DRDO can exist, nor bar can exist, nor ISRO can exist. Some business model has to be there. That business model need not be that whatever technologies we are developing, they are being sold in the market, but rather, even I am developing so many IITs, I am developing so many centers in the IITs, Center of Excellence in IITs, I am developing so many industries. So in DRDO ecosystem, right now there are 14,500 industries working. Means due to DRDO, 14,500 industries have come up in India. This is also a big contribution. So that is again a business model. And why I am telling you that some dirty example, When you see the Baghdadi or Osama bin Laden, those terrorists, they could not sustain their diet. Let me tell you, they did not die because their organization was weak and they were not having the ammunition, they were not having the resolve to fight American troops or other countries because the business model collapsed. Because whatever the business model was there, they used to get the money, etc., and how you used to circulate it. That's how the America pissed in, and that's how they stopped all the supply lines. That's how the business model collapsed. That's why those all terrorists, they were eliminated. So business model is very important. Why do you think?
Sir, anything from your side?
No.
Nothing. We'll go to the question answer. Anything
Thank
you
you,
want to
Professor.
ask? We'll go to the
So much reaching out.
Fine. So 20 minutes to all of you. So any question anybody is having? So we have any mic here? No mic. And हमारा ये Vishwa and others just move the mic. In the meantime, take mic to level. And you have to tell the question and if you are asking to somebody. And remember that many of hands are rising, so both of them will manage. I will stop at 4:20. Now it is 4:05. I will stop at 4:20 or 25. Prabha, Vishwa, it is all your call. Kisko dena hai mic, kisko nahi dena hai. Yeah, go ahead.
So hello sir, myself Akshay. Am I audible? So sir, like you talked about, like we are very small, unit and we are not representing the entire India. So, like, do you think that there is an issue of selective development in our country? So, by this, what I mean is that there are few cities that are fabulously growing, even states. But then there are cities which are not growing, even declining in the terms of industries. And even for the states, the same issue is there. So, like, is this issue relevant? And like, if it is, then how we youth, as youth, can improve upon this issue? Because we as a youth also go to cities like Bangalore, Delhi for our jobs, and we are also not doing anything for this selective development. So how can this improve? Like you or others as well.
Sir, you take the question. You can take the question.
You know, the development of any place, we have done many mistakes. Government, what they did, that what they did, they wanted to declare some backward areas and push industries there. It didn't work well. Well, little bit, not well. So you should allow the natural course of development to come further. So even if you want to support, you see, the tier 1 cities develop. Now the tier 2 cities are developing. And once they get saturated, people will go to tier 3 cities. And people will go to urban areas. So allow the development to flow, it's like water will flow in a natural course. So similarly, development should flow and that should be in a structured manner.
See, it's a question of retrospective. It has no meaning to any of your futures. Yeah? So try to keep a question which matters to you, but I'll just do comment on it. A, you may not really know. There are about 11,000 plus odd IT services organizations in the cities like Indore is very famous, you know that. There are a lot of companies out there. But you would know Udupi, Mangalore, Jaipur, Chandigarh, Mohali, Meerut, Noida you can also count there, it's not way too fancy. What does it mean? It's not about that it has been a selective development, it has been the readiness of those cities in order to accommodate that growth. The 4 major cities, every country has major ports, major cities, etc. The cities which were there down south and west and east, they had a natural advantage because they were near ports. And they were just not that in only 60s they came up. Historically, they have been economical development areas. Likewise, the cities in the north, they were the only one which was a door to the west. So there were reasons why those cities really became what they were. However, when we talk about selective development, we need to be very careful which part are we really referring to. If I talk infrastructure, I think as a country it will take many years because I think we are still overcoming the effect of independence. You know, I must share this with you.
We'll go quick. More questions.
Yeah, just last point, sir. Yes, you should know. we were just talking to an economist for a comparison. He said, I'm seeing a lot of middle class uprise in the country, but you're still about 110 years behind for this country to behave in a way a developed country will behave. So don't worry about these things. We are still many years behind. We are still dinosaurs in that area.
So first of all, thank you to all of you, sir, for coming to the campus. My question would be specifically to Mayank Dwivedi, sir. Sir, what I read in this CP report is that India, although it is trying to grab a very good market share in the defense sector, it still imports a lot from the Russia, Israel and all. And from our editorial report, I also gathered that what actually, through the FDI that would be coming or through any money that would be coming from outside, the inflation would be increasing. So on the one side, the monetary policy committee comes out and tells that we want to keep an accommodative stance and all. At the same time, we want to increase the business from the ammunition sector, from the defense sector. So how is the government actually planning to do it? And the second is that when do we see at least 10 to 15% of the global ammunition sector or defense sector coming from India?
The question is very good, but the point is very lengthy answer, but I will try to finish off in a minute or so. Number one, we have to appreciate when we got independence. That time, your comb for combing hair used to come from France, the needle and the scissors used to come from Germany. There was zero manufacturing sector in India. Let me tell you, till date, we have not made any successful automobile engine. So, the first automobile engine what you saw, there were Tata Sumo, Tata Indica, Tata Indigo, those cars came. Basically, there was the Mercedes engine, whatever Tata Truck used to do, and they scaled it down, and that's how that Tata Indica and Indigo they came, but they were again not very successful engines, and finally when they took over the Land Rover and other business, Jaguar, and that's how the Indian technology came to India and then Tata is manufactured. So first we have to understand our stance. We never participated in the French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, etc. That's why we were lagging behind in the technology part. So that legacy, because we are still 75 years young country, and that's how we have come up to that level. But if you see the government policy, basically, that I can speak very openly because they are on the official website.
YouTube Live, yeah.
Today, the government has come out with a list, DRDO has come out with a list of 101 technologies and products that DRDO will not do that thing, only distribute. More than 200 crores, whatever imports are there, they are getting stopped. That only up to 200 crores, everything will be made by Indian industries. Third thing, the light tank recently LNT has made, K9 Vaja LNT has made with DRDO support. Then ATEX, that replacing the Bofors, that gun has been made by DRDO support. So now slowly and slowly the LCA, the 83 orders, light combat aircraft, now it's going to be exported. So what is happening? This is a slow process. But what happens, here one thing I will tell you lastly, R&D is a very, very tough job. It is what I am telling, because I am a scientist, I am telling my job is very complex. R&D the things that gestation time is required. Why America turns out the technology within 1 or 2 years time? Why we turn out the technology in 10 or 20 years time? Nevertheless, if you talk about the F-Series aircrafts, America also took 27 to 30 years to develop. Just now you want to say the cloud in 1950s. Now it is coming to actualization because the robustness in the technology does not come. So what happens, that whatever we have left behind, that is a problem because in R&D, you have to rule out all the impossibilities. That's how you do so many experiments and that's how the technology is coming up slowly. Just 2 points very quickly I tell you. When we make any product in India for a defense purpose, that the war is never won by the equipment. Let me tell you, if you think I have a very good rifle, because I have posted many times, Leh, China border, I have gone to various times, at Northern Command, I was with my troops, and so many other things I do, which I am not supposed to speak here. The point is, the soldiers' morale is a very important thing. If a Pakistani soldier is having a better weapon than my soldier will always have the doubt that his bullet will hit me fast, I will not be able to hit him. So, making that robust technology when you are competing with the world market, where the R&D is going for the last 200 years, America, Europe, Japan, Germany, France, that's how the gap is coming. But let me tell you, last 3-4 years, the way we have filled the gap, it is very much remarkable, and I can tell you, it will take almost 1 more decade. I will not say very rose in 5 years time or 7 years time. But the same ecosystem keeps on continuing. I tell you, within 1 decade, maximum 10 to 12 years, India will be lead on net exporter of the vehicles rather than importer.
Mr. Jolie, on your work with the Ministry of Finance, how did you strategically manage to strengthen the MSMEs struggling in a pandemic-afflicted fiscal climate without offering them loans or, say, maybe lowering the lending rates?
Yeah. So your question is how we could have done it without giving them the loans? So it's again a policy. You see that at that point in time, the loan infusion was more of a financial intervention to keep them afloat at that point in time. But then for that you may have to appreciate more the MSME policies and the regulation which apply to that. An example, in UP, the milk production business got subsidized many years later. And milk production is very ancillary business to an agriculture production business, right? What we have subsidized so far in our country, we have subsidized the seeds, we have subsidized the fertilizers, but we haven't subsidized the seeds which were actually G-grade, which means that they are hybrids and they could have rotated more. What does it tell you? It tells you perhaps a thinking which you could have opted from, let's say, Australia, say New Zealand, hardcore agri-milk-based economies, Netherlands, guys, some more interesting stuff is happening. So Netherlands, as well, Holland, very prime agriculture-based economies. So we took these many years to even realize that our net economy was reversed basis agriculture. So, and there's one sector I'm talking about. Likewise, you can think about auto parts production. So 800 companies work together to produce one Maruti Suzuki car. 800 vendors, from nuts to tires to wheel. Now all of them, they do not operate in a methodical way. They're not all listed, but then they are producers. So their input costs, where they come from the same raw market. So when you're producing from the same raw market as an input, shouldn't you be subsidized? Yes, you should be subsidized. That's an ideal economical law, right? That's what I meant. So we are more reactive, as I said, east versus west. Yeah, we should have thought through, but I must give credit. Like Mr. Devaki mentioned, I still believe it. We are way back. We will take many years because a lot what we could have done was which was looted. So it's not easy to duplicate from 200 years of slavery and then start shining in a day. Right? So great question. Guys, one request to everybody. If it's a limited time, if you can ask question more about your employment and technology rather than going into history, that will be better because that's what you will benefit most. Just a request, otherwise open for it.
Yeah. Sir, I had a question regarding the Indian economy and some of your comments, how it is related to the sports economy that's booming in India. I wanted to know any of your comments that...
Sports economy?
Yes, sir. Sports market. How well is it? How projected is it to grow in India? Even all sports, even sports that we are not doing well in, but Olympics, all cumulative sports market, how any of you would comment on it, like on the Indian growth market?
I have to apologize. I have no idea about this sector in particular.
Yes, sir. Any of you like any comment?
I am not at all from that area. I am an out and out weapons man, but I can tell you because most of the sports, what is talking about the sports market, they are primarily the materials of it. When I am a material scientist, I can tell you the future of India is quite bright.
Yes.
Because in sports market, let me tell you, whatever the natural ingredients are there, they are very well grown in India and those can be utilized. Talk about the cricket, talk about the football, and many other things. And we have got the SPC. Most of the sports equipment, they are being manufactured in India and we have got a good thing. But one problem is occurring here, what you told very rightly, I think people like you can do in future. It is not very organized sector. It is in discrete manner. See, today you see decathlon. The decathlon, the way it has come up, It has come a quite very, very reasonable price. But still, if you talk about the type of golf shaft I want to use out of composites, what is I have got expertise. Those golf shafts are still being manufactured at Taiwan in China. That's why I told during my talk also, is all these things, until unless we have got our own manufacturing, our own design, then we will have the edge. Otherwise, the technology edge is not there, we are going to lose the money.
Sir, so
No, sorry, I'll cut it, give it to somebody else. And if you want to know more about sports, you can spend time with Santosh sir. Correct? He's heading a department here known as media sports management, sports management, and lots of E&Y reports are there. As regards to sports, yeah. Next question. No. That depends upon them to give me who has the mic. Yeah. Sir. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank everyone on the panel because everyone was from different backgrounds and it was very informative. My question is towards Abhinav Jory. Since you're... I'm here. Should I stand up? Okay. Since you worked with global clients, I too had a similar background, and you also talked about documentation and structure at workplace. So I was wondering why, as Indians, like let's say Germans or Japanese, whoever I work with, they have very strict documentation policies. They don't even discuss anything before documenting. But with Indian clients, even with my bosses, they were like, "अरे यार कर लेंगे बाद में, अब हम implement कर लेते हैं, we'll do it later." So I just want to understand if it's a cultural thing or an educational thing, because I myself have that mindset and I want to overcome that. So I want to know where exactly it is emanating from.
Thank you. I didn't talk about documentation at all.
Sorry, structure.
That's fine. Good question. But it's a right observation, and quite honestly, it's culture. Okay, nice.
Yeah. Please keep quiet. Last
So
question.
it's just going to get over like in 5 minutes.
Yeah. So.
It's purely about culture. Frankly, there's nothing more to it. I think it's I genuinely feel emphasis upon the value systems. I've seen my own colleagues who behave very differently when they are working for, let's say, a client in, say, Australia. But when they work for a domestic client in Mumbai, they absolutely are okay reasoning because there's no demand like that. And you must understand, most of the behaviors in paid economy are not by desire. It's a very important principle. In paid economy, I'm not talking free economy. In paid economy, demand drives the behavior. So if your clientele is the one who emphasizes more on getting shit done, then you will get that thing done first. But if you have clients who will say, I really need to get the shit done, but please do it methodically, then you will follow the process. It's as simple as it is. It's the same human being operating in two different parts differently. That's who we are. And that's what I'm saying. We need to change it. Because for us, things are very lenient. And the simple reason is, we are served. We are not carrying the burden of innovation. You are not the one who is designing. You are not the one who is failing. You are the one who serves at the last bottom part of the economy. And that's the reason we are a service economy. The startups, they don't act like that. The startups truly mean business. Because for them, survival is important.
Okay.
Right?
Last question.
Thank you.
Sir. Yeah, whoever has the mic.
Sir, I have a question for
Yeah, last.
Sir.
He's asking the question.
Just one.
Yeah.
Just short question. Sir, I have a question for you, Abhinav sir. Sir, I have a question for like AI thing that you talk about, an anecdote. There are around 16,000 startups that started. So I just want to know like what is the real number where the Gen AI is produced and the data is collected like in-house in India. So basically, what I did is I also worked in it, but like most of the Indian startups and the startups in general are using the OpenAI, Gemini, and they're just using the API extension for it because they have the upper hand, they have the data, they have the humongous data. So is it a possibility for an Indian company that to have that kind of a data and compete with them globally? Because I don't want to work in AI just because
Great question, frankly. Thanks for asking this question. So first of all, let's get it very clear. When we talk AI, in today's context, 2024 until 2030. We are talking about weak AI. We are not talking truly intelligent AI. All right? It's anybody from machine learning background here? Only you. Okay, that's a question then. Okay. So most of the artificial intelligence we are referring to is the advanced machine learning use cases. The second important point is that today we are talking AI. Reason being, AI has become more consumable because the complex engineering involved to produce AI is being black boxed and given to you as a service from a cloud provider, such as OpenAI. OpenAI, if you peel the OpenAI, it's an age-old machine learning dynamic which is going inside. So what happens, as I said before, the production of technology is always ahead of the curve of adoption when things become very consumable, very affordable, when you do not have to hire expensive engineers to create the algorithm, adoption increases. So that's the reason you see most people talking about AI, because they're able to relate, consume it. Now the AI which in general people refer to, for which there is a huge hype around job losses and etc., that's not the AI even closer. That's quite far off, right? That's far off. Important data point for all of you to understand, and in every possible capacity you must contribute to it. As we know that cloud today, in India, the story of cloud will change in the next 5 years. We have got 2 sovereign clouds. You know what sovereign cloud is? Sovereign cloud is a cloud which is local to our country. It's compliant to local regulations. So we've got 2 sovereign cloud in our own nation now, which is going to be a very big threat to the rest of the biggies. So you think sovereign cloud, you think companies like Kritan, you think open source large language models. That's the India stack which Government of India refers to. And more you will find if you go back and learn about Bhashini. Bhashini, you know that? Yeah. So read the story. So all of this is a fantastic start. But then we do not have people who can do this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, any other questions? Both Johri sir and Dwivedi sir will available outside. If any of you has any questions, that's why if any of you has any question to Johri sir or Dwivedi sir, no, not instead of whole gathering, because 4:30 you have to contribute. So thank you all the panelists for your thoughts, views, and more importantly, picture of India, which in all its honest we can say, rising definitely, but rising yes, but let's not be rising and what we say, stumbling. So let's not be that much of romanticizing about we are rising. Viksit Bharat hoga, but Viksit Bharat hone ke time mein there is a timeline, and that timeline you have to maintain. And when you go in that timeline, given the economic environment of the country, political environment of the country, there will be stumbling blocks. Because we are not going to get a carte blanche like we used to get for last 10 years. So be mindful about it. Therefore, taking a clue about the policy, how it happens, and understanding mind of the government and the policy makers is equally important. And again I will take this stage for Rao sir and Dwivedi sir. Sir, you have seen the people, you have seen their inquisitiveness, everything, and if through you we can get some opportunity for the summer internship or kind of things, people will be happy to work on it. So at least if you can try some summer internship for the students, they will do brilliant work. And we know, sir, that cracking DRP is difficult. But at least summer we are able to crack. In this context, as Indranil sir has already given this opportunity for me to talk to both of them. I think, sir, it makes a sense to tell them that at least they should try the summer internship. Yeah. Now I'll take this opportunity to present a memento to all the dignitaries as a mark of love and respect to you. So I complete. And Mini Madam, please. Santosh sir, please come. अरे आ जाइए ना. What was it said? And on a passing remark, I mean, this panel discussion would not have been successful without the help of course, orientation chairs, orientation committee members, and Sanjay Bhai in the State Department, and of course, Vishwa, Prabha, and Rajakshi, and Kunal Bhai. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the session. Thank you very much. Sir.